Lionel, is that you?
There, I think I got it. Derek?
Yes, Lionel.
Are you there?
I'm here.
How's things in Alabama?
It's hot.
Hot?
It's hot. Yes.
Have you ever watched, I know you don't watch movies and you've gone out of your way to ignore the social implications of the 70s and 80s and early 90s.
What a broad and specific accusation.
Well, you've never seen Back to the Future, which I'm assuming is probably some sort of social anti-social stand on your part.
Yeah, sure. Why not?
How about Good Morning Vietnam with Robin Williams?
I'm not sure I've watched the whole movie, but I've seen enough clips of it to know the gist.
Have you ever? What kind of movies do you watch?
How do I even answer that question?
All right.
I like dramas. I like comedies. I'm not the kind of person who has like a favorite movie. I kind of think of most content these days as meant to consume in that sitting and to enjoy it.
Right.
But then it sort of comes and goes.
Last week we were talking about Planet of the Apes. So, of course, I watched that since last week again. The reason I was asking you about the movies is because in Good Morning Vietnam, early on in this movie, probably in the first third, he's a radio announcer in Vietnam with the Marines, and he says, "It's so hot, it's hotter than a snake's ass in a wagon rut."
That's pretty much how it feels in Alabama right now.
Yes.
That's a good cultural reference for how it feels outside.
That's how we got going down that avenue, because I'm worried about you, because I feel like you're just kind of I know that I still don't understand what you do for a living. I'm almost convinced that it's something to do with organized crime because because of your Italian background. And I'm thinking you're in waste management.
Oh boy! Well, we just offended all of the Italian American listeners to the podcast.
That's true. We're not done yet. Before we're finished now.
Ooh, don't worry. We'll offend somebody else while we go too. That's what we do here.
All right. So, do you watch TV?
I do watch TV.
Okay. Have you ever watched a show called Impractical Jokers?
I have.
There's this guy named James Murray.
I think they call him Murr, right?
Yeah, a.k.a. Murr. Well, what we're going to do is we're going to dovetail the fact that there's a guy named James Murray, a.k.a. Murr, who has a very successful show called Impractical Jokers. I think it's been on for way more than 15 seasons. It's been on and on and on for years. And if you go on YouTube, there's like clip after clip after clip of Impractical Jokers. We're going to dovetail that with, have you ever wondered what happens to model railroads? They're fantastic model railroads that are built in somebody's private home. I
have. Unfortunately, a lot of them meet tragic ends. Unceremonious endings.
I know. And yet we have stumbled upon this story where James has stepped in like the Superman of model railroading and saved a club in Princeton, New Jersey.
That
was about to be sold. There was no buyers. It was a classic case of people spend years and decades building this fantastic model railroad, and then it just goes away. And apparently, so let's get him into the studio and find out more about this.
Wait, we have Murr here with us?
We have Murr here. I'm going to call him James. I'm more of a James guy. Yeah.
Okay.
We're going to get James in here.
Should we ask him which one he prefers?
That's not a bad idea.
Okay. Well, why don't we get him in?
And then we'll use the opposite.
Yes, that's
just to irritate the crap out of the guy.
We're good at that.
All right, Murr, come on in. James, come on in.
What's up, fellas? It's Murr or James. I'm fine with either one. Neither one pisses me off.
Oh,
Oh man.
well, we got quite a bit of
Can we
time
call you
here.
Jim then?
Yeah.
Well, that'll piss me off.
Hey, Jim.
I'm kidding.
Uh,
I'm kidding. I've heard
yeah.
everything. Just
Good.
don't call me late for supper.
My dad's name was Jim. Jimmy Strang. Can I ask you a blunt question there, James?
Please.
So did you just wake up one morning, bolt upright one morning in bed and go, I've got to buy a model railroad club?
Well, let's go back in time to answer the question. So I grew up with Lionel trains. The best memories of my childhood with my father and I were building our railroad. Like we had what I thought back then, growing up in New York, I thought we had a really big layout. Of course, nothing compared to Pacific Southern Railway, the club the house we bought. But it was the best memories of childhood, man. My father passed about a year and a half ago from Alzheimer's. He'd suffered from it for a long time. And to the day he died, there are three things he remembered, right? He remembered his model trains with me. And if you put a model railroad magazine in his hands, he had a smile across his face to the day he died. He'd look through every picture, go through cover to cover. He'd also remember every Frank Sinatra song lyric, and he would cry laughing to the day he died at the movie Airplane. You know what I mean? So these are core memories, So it's in my DNA. It's the best memories of my childhood. But when my wife and I lived in New York and then moved to Manhattan when the show came on TV a long, long time ago. And my trains from childhood. Then when I moved my parents down to Virginia to be close to my sisters and grandkids, because there was nothing left for them in New York, and the house was not suitable in New York for an older couple, one with Alzheimer's, and it just didn't work. So I bought him a house, like a single-story house right by my sister's, a block away, so he'd be close to the family. And so all my trains from childhood, I had to dismantle the layout, right? Which, like you said, happens all the time. For me, at least we didn't get rid of them. I packaged them all up really nice and put them in giant boxes. And they just sat in the basement of my house here in Jersey for the past 6 years. Because I don't live in a big house. I live in a 4,600 square foot house. There's just literally no place to build my trains. So for years now, they've sat down in their boxes. Coincidentally, at the same time, like last December, the Wall Street Journal reports on one of America's longest running model railroad clubs. The guy started building in 1950. The club was formed in 1964 and had been running for decades and decades and decades. It's like 6 minutes from my house. It's 2 turns away in the next town over, Rocky Hill, New Jersey. It's an HO gauge train layout. It's different gauge than my trains growing up, but that's okay. I still love trains. It doesn't matter. And the layout is incredible. There's 12,000 square feet of track hand laid in the layout, right? To put it in perspective, my house is 4,600 square feet. You know what I'm saying? Like that'll give you a sense of what we're talking about here. The train layout is bigger than my entire house that I live in. They kept going. They took out a foundation wall. It's built in the basement of a house. They took out a foundation wall and kept going under the lawn and built like a deck on top of it. It's wild, man. So wow. Unfortunately, the owner of the house, the president of the club, passed about a year ago from cancer, and his widow was forced to sell the house. He was going to move down to Texas, be close to her kids and grandkids, and so my wife and I heard about it in the papers here locally and the Wall Street Journal. And my wife runs a candle company called 95 Candles, and we run an Alzheimer's charity called 95 Charity, and both have grown exponentially in the past few years. And my wife was out of space for a candle company. So I said, well, shoot, man, what if I can solve 2 problems at once? What if I buy a warehouse nearby and my wife can move her candle company there and ramp up manufacturing? And simultaneously, I'll talk to Pacific Southern Railway and say, guys, why don't we move your trains there? You can expand. You're kind of limited by the space that's underground. Let's go bigger, bigger, bigger. And I'll give it to you for free. And so I went to go see the club. Keep in mind, this is like 2 weeks before it's going up for a public sale and it'll be done.
Well, yeah.
So I go to meet the president of the club. And as soon as I went down there, I was like, well, shoot, man, this can't be moved. Like you would destroy 90% of the layout to save 10%, You'd be able to save the locomotives and the rolling stock, but that's it. Like the track is hand laid. It's not compartmentalized. You can't take the layout apart. It is built to that space, to the basement. So the night before, the widow is going to be forced to sell it, and ostensibly someone's going to say, "Get the hell out of the, I'll give you a week to get out, salvage what you can get out." My wife and I bought the house to save the layout, and it's pretty wild, man. It's such a cool thing.
So had you ever seen the layout before?
Yeah, I went to go visit it. When I went to go visit it, I had not seen it before this.
No, that's what I mean. Had you seen it before, like you say, 2 weeks before you went to visit it? Had you ever gone before that?
No, but the public has for decades.
Well, yeah, I know. I understand that.
In the past, for like once a year, the homeowner would open. I mean, the train club's in there multiple times a week, working on the trains and having operating sessions. But once a year, traditionally, they open the house up to the public to go through and see the layout, what have you. I had not heard of it before that, and so the past 2 years they kind of paused that because the former owner was sick, but now we bring it back this year to be open to the public again, and I want to expand bigger. Like I want it to be open multiple times a year starting next year and really kind of engage the community in a new way.
There's like 1,000 questions to ask here, Derek.
I know. I'm trying to get my head around this.
Yeah, I think he talks faster than we do.
Which is great. Now it's time we have some energy on this podcast. Yeah. James, so did people, like, who was the first person you told about this plan, and did they think that it was a joke?
It's funny. I went to see the house. The house is beautiful, right? It's like it's 2 acres of land. It's very, very pretty. It's fenced in. It's like a Cape Cod style home. It's really, really well maintained, in great shape. And then I went to see the layout, and I was blown away because I'm such a huge train fan. And then I didn't want to spook it, right? Because I was like, we have to save this. It's a piece of history, and the amount of sweat and imagination and passion that went into this for decades. And as a nonprofit, Pacific Southern donates their proceeds to fire and EMT. It's just a really great organization, a great group of people, right? So I didn't want to spook my idea, but I said to my wife, I was out of town on tour I do like a comedy tour outside the TV show, and I was out of town on tour, and I said to my wife, I was like, love, I don't want to weigh in on it. Why don't you go check out the house, see if you like it, you think it might be worthwhile. I don't know if it'll work for your candle company, but just take a look and let me know what you think. I didn't want to spook it. I didn't want to tip my hand, you know what I mean?
Right, yeah.
Or show my card, so to speak. And so she went on her own to see the house with her friend, and she fell in love with the house. And then she calls me up. She goes, I think we should buy it. And I was like, F yeah, hell yeah, my plan worked. And because I secretly wanted to buy the house for the train layout. And then she thought of working for a candle company. It all worked out.
I didn't realize. So it's an O scale layout?
It's HO.
It's HO now. So he started out building O scale, but then he tore that down, and then he built an HO scale layout. That's
right. And so it's HO. But I have 27 gauge trains,
right?
And there's also and then the thing that I've learned, like the past 2 months that we've owned the house, and of course it hit all the press that Melyssa and I bought the house, and the Wall Street Journal did a follow-up story on it, and then we filmed an episode of Impractical Jokers at the house 2 weeks ago secretly.
No way.
We've had this idea for years, right? But we've never been able to pull it off. We've had this idea of doing a home demolition challenge where a guy gets hired to work like construction for a day. A real guy like comes into a real home to do like demo work or painting, what have you, maintenance work. But he doesn't know he's walking into Impractical Jokers. And we want to do for real, where one of us is playing like a demo guy taking a wall down, another guy's a painter, and the other guy's like the homeowner who's a jerk off, And so we never could find a homeowner that legit was doing construction work in a house and would let us film the TV show at the same time. Well, guess what? We were coincidentally taking a wall down in the house. So I said, guys, let's film it here. So we hired some guy comes in to help us out with construction, not knowing he's on the TV show. And sure enough, we were taking a wall down and painting it. It was so funny. It'll be on TV in a few months. Season 12 starts in a few weeks. So it was so funny, man.
That's awesome. I think what the best part about your show, and we'll get back to it, I just love, it's so addicting because you guys laugh together on the show. And like when I listen to this podcast, like the best episodes are when we're all laughing with each other, and you guys do that on your show all the whole time. It's so, I don't know. There's something about when it's funnier when everybody's in on the joke and everybody's laughing along together. And I just love that about your show. So,
Exactly. Dude, we were filming last Friday night, right?
uh-huh.
And I was working as it'll be on TV in a few months, but I was working as a waiter, legit, in a restaurant in New York City, and I lost the episodes. The punishment was very, very simple, and sometimes these are the best ideas that are just purely simple and dumb, and they're so damn funny, right? So after like introducing myself to a table and finding out their dietary restrictions or allergies, I would go back over like 5 minutes later. I had like a tray of chunks of beef, like cooked beef, and I would sneak up behind the people at their tables as the waiter, and with my bare hands push the beef into their mouth to try out a sample from the kitchen. It was so goddamn funny. We were on, and people. No, I thought somebody would stand up and like punch me in the face. No one did, because it's so shocking that a waiter without permission pushes food into your mouth. I did to like 100 people, man. It was wild. It was so much fun.
That's amazing.
Okay, we'll talk more about the TV show in a bit, but I'm interested. I'm assuming you've listened to the podcast and all the episodes and most of them twice.
I've listened to an episode and I enjoyed
it. So I'm interested whenever we talk to people that did model railroading with their dad. Like, the podcast has been going 10 years. And as the 10 years has gone by, I've run into more and more people that I've interviewed who did model railroading with their dad, because, just as time goes by, that's, you were 39 when I started the podcast. You're 49 now, I think, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's like, so I'm interested in, so do you feel like you were introduced to model railroading by your dad, but do you feel like you would have become a model railroader anyways even if your dad wasn't?
I think so. I really do. I've been obsessed. I mean, it's hard to separate the two, right? But I've been obsessed with trains my whole life. I outside of Impractical Jokers, I've written novels for many years. I've got 9 thrillers out with, 3 with HarperCollins, 3 with St. Martin's Press, 3 with Penguin Random House, 1 with Blackstone. They're all like really scary kind of thrillers, and 1 got turned into a movie. It comes out at the end of the year. But my first trilogy, my first 3 books I wrote are based around the New York City subway system and like creatures in the subway. And I've just been and I wrote that first book 25 years ago, like long before Impractical Jokers. I was obsessed with subways and trains, and I interviewed all MTA workers in New York City to get inside scoop, to do research on writing the novel. I don't know. It's always been in my DNA. I think there's something. I don't know what the connection is with trains, right?
I know
with guys. It could be the size, the scale of them, the sound, the rumble, the linear nature of it. I don't know. There's something really intriguing about it. I've just been obsessed my whole life.
Well, that's kind of what's going to dovetail into my next question that I like. It's kind of become my mandate of the podcast that I end up asking everybody. Like, what do you think it is? Like, you're obviously a busy guy with your career and everything like that. But what do you think? Like, I'm fascinated by, what is it about trains? It seems like when it gets in your blood, you can't get it out. Like, I'm assuming most people seem to kind of go through this stage of when they're a kid, they're really into it, model trains, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And then they go through their late teens and early 20s where they kind of get away from it, but it's always there. And then they always come back to it. And it sounds like you've been the same. Like, once your dad, you had to move your parents, you boxed up the whole thing, but probably in the back of your mind was always, I'm going to build another layout. I'm going to build another layout.
1,000%. I think you go through different types of fascination throughout your life, right? There's a period of childhood where all you want to do is see the trains go fast, right? And you want to see them go around the layout fast. And if they derail, they derail. It's just fun and what have you. There's that kind of destructive phase, and it's just fun to see toy trains go real fast, right? There's that stage of, I think, every kid's life. There's a stage of life where you like to see multiple trains running in different directions and not hitting each other, and the oddly musical the dance, the choreography, the smoothness of multiple trains running in different directions seamlessly and not hitting each other becomes very enticing and elegant to watch. And then I think for me, the stage I've had a lot in my life, and most definitely in now, is creating imaginary scenes in my mind, vignettes, situations that are going on, right? So you go down to Pacific Southern Railway, there are a million different scenes going on the layout, right? There's probably a few 100,000 people on the layout, miniatures in different conversations, interactions on their own path, on different paths. Like for example, in one part of the layout, there's two hikers rappelling up a mountain, right? But the hiker in the back doesn't realize that about to scale about 50 feet behind him, if it was to scale, it is a black bear chasing him from behind. He doesn't know. I'm fascinated by the vignette. Then there's a guy ziplining. They have from the top of a mountain, they have a zip line going down to the bottom, over a lake to the shore on the other side. And my fascination is with the people waiting for the zip. They're online waiting to get their turn in the zip line. It's just fascinating. It's just pure imagination. What are they going through? What are they thinking? There's couples on dates. There's people in accidents on the layout. Some guy stuck in behind construction. There's it's just a million different scenes and vignettes. It's just pure imagination. That is my fascination now.
I think it's really easy to sort of draw a through line from that fascination to the success of your show too, right? Like both are creating these scenarios, these vignettes of very human interactions, and I'm sure you've already thought about that. And but I just think that's a really interesting sort of they go in parallel, and I think it explains who you are and how your brain works.
I think you're right with that, and I'll tell you what. Like I think I've said it before on an interview or two, but gosh, how you guys have been doing the podcast for 10 years. You certainly have seen how the world is changing, especially for hobby lovers and things like that. No matter what your hobby, but so much of our life right now, especially for kids, is staring at a 3x6 rectangle in their hand, right? Which we all do. I do too. Staring at social media and YouTube clips and what have you. So much of our life is that there's no mystery left to unravel, to discover. So when you go down to like Pacific Southern Railway to that layout, which is incredible, it's all mystery. Every time I was there yesterday all day. I'll be there again tomorrow night for the operating session. Every single time I go down there, I discover a new scene, a new thing, something that's fascinating to me that I did not see before. And I've only owned the home for 2 months. There are members that have been there for 25 years and still are seeing new things. It's endless. That's mysterious and interesting and imaginative. And that's what the world needs.
Yeah, that's the power of hobbies these days, right? Is the ability to exercise your muscles of your brain outside of like a 3x6 screen, to do something physical and tangible. It's just such a contrast to our jobs and our normal day to day, hour to hour. So I think that's why we'll see a rebirth of physical hobbies, whether it's collecting typewriters or building model trains or Legos or whatever it is. It's something tangible we could build that's real.
Well, I'll tell you what, when a solar storm hits and wipes out all electronics on Earth, model railroad will be right back. People are coming back, man.
So the original guy, Bob Latham, he passed away in 1988,
mm-hmm.
and then somebody else purchased it, and then Jeff Green,
another club member.
Yeah, Jeff Green purchased it, and then in 2016 it was purchased again. Like this club has an incredible history. I'm the first owner that was not part of the club to own the house, though. That's right, but you're the fourth owner of the house.
Yeah, it is really an incredible story to think that there's been four generations of homeowners that have maintained the club and built, and I'm excited for, it's fast. It's interesting. Me being part of the club and my wife too owning the house, because like just in the past 2 months, we've had a dramatic increase in membership because of obviously the fan base for Practical Jokers. So the club, which was kind of frozen in time in terms of their members, has now, I donated a brand new website to the club. I relaunched it, pacificsouthern.org, and I launched a modern website that has
it's a fantastic
merch store. So you saw me with my Pacific Southern shirt on right now, but we have a full merch store where you can buy things. It's all nonprofit. We have virtual memberships, active memberships, junior memberships on the website. You click one button and you become a virtual member of the club anywhere in the world. because Impractical Jokers plays in 130 countries around the world, right? So if somebody in India or the UK wants to support the mission of the club, knowing that it's a nonprofit, knowing that it's going to support fire and EMT, they can become a virtual member and they get videos from me every 2 weeks, exclusive videos right to them from the club, taking through what we're doing that week, what's going on, meet the members, what I'm building, what my plans are. It's like exclusive content, and they get a swag package. They all got shipped out last week, actually. You see fans putting their Pacific Southern hats on, their membership card. They get free tickets to the open house every year. It's like that's the kind of stuff I can do as well and get a lot more press for the club. And
we're gonna have
so
to.
it's been pretty wild, man.
I hope by the time we're done today, I hope you'll consider coming back on a semi-regular basis, because I would
love to, man.
I think it's going to be an ongoing experience, because you just in that last brief comment there, Derek, he mentioned all kinds of really cool things that they're doing. That could help revolutionize the hobby almost.
That's exactly what I was thinking. Like, I think that we might be a year from now or 5 years from now, we might look back and say, wow, Murr was a spokesperson for the hobby and brought in a whole new crowd of people, right? Because I think your audience, and you have the energy and the charisma to sort of be a messenger for what's possible with the hobby, and people will see that and find it. You're probably the mouthpiece that the hobby's been looking for the last while.
I hope so.
And you know what I've talked about many times over the years, Murr, and I'm sure you've listened to every single episode and some of them twice. But I feel like the hobby as the internet was invented specifically for model railroading, and because people now are connected all over the world, that before it was whoever was in your town, or if you went to a convention, you might meet guys. But now you can have a Facebook page. I encourage everybody that comes on the podcast to have a Facebook page. I mean, I'm talking to a guy. We're going to interview a guy next week that has building this 40 by 50 Bessemer and Lake Erie layout, a 2 double-decker, and it's like just fantastic stuff. But you get to follow along because he has a Facebook or a YouTube channel, That's what you guys need to do, start putting stuff on YouTube, maybe.
I mean, that's the plan, to do all this stuff, and we are doing it now. It's the other thing I want to do. I want to do a whole bunch of stuff. Like, I'll be at Train Fest. Maybe I shouldn't say this yet. I know the press release goes out. So, who cares? The press release goes out, I think, in a week or two. I'll be giving like a keynote speech at Train Fest in Milwaukee
cool.
this November. But I think maybe I shouldn't have said that already, but who cares?
Well,
you're hearing it first.
Don't worry, nobody's listening to this.
Yeah, nobody's listening.
Yeah, nobody listens to this.
Well, I'll promote it, fellas. I'll get people to listen to it. Don't worry.
Okay. Honestly, yes.
Yeah. So I'll be at Train Fest giving the keynote, and one thing I want to do is I want to launch a Pacific Southern brand of locomotives or a rolling stock or what have you, or starter kit, and sell it in hobby stores around the world. It all goes to nonprofit, obviously.
Sure,
So I want to do that. But the other thing I want to do is this, and we are doing it. So in the past 2 months since we bought the house, and it hit the press that Melyssa and I, saved the club. An interesting thing's been happening, and I'm sure you referenced this at the beginning of the podcast, and I'm sure you see it happen all the time, all across America and presumably the world. There are lots and lots of layouts and model railroad clubs that are aging out. For one reason or another, the interest is waning, and these amazing, incredible layouts are just going to the dumpster or getting tossed out or not appreciated by the kids or grandkids or what have you, and just disappearing, right? It happens. It's just a thing. So what's happened now in the past 2 months is that we keep getting contacted by train clubs around America to please help save their layout. They can't save maybe their house is being sold or what have you, and they need to get rid of it, but they don't want their layout destroyed, so they want to donate it to Pacific Southern. So get this, I'm already now absorbing 2 more amazing train clubs, their layouts, and saving them. I'm not saving their houses, what have you, but we're like on Monday, we're going up to Armonk, New York, and saving an incredible layout and bringing it down here to Rocky Hill. And I'm taking the property has a separated 3-car garage that's empty. I'm rebuilding this. I'm saving this train club's layout and putting it back together in Rocky Hill, New Jersey at Pacific Southern. And then again, in 2 weeks, we're picking up another club's layout that the guy's, 85 years old. He's a lovely gentleman, but the grandkids don't want to let trains. He's got larger scale. He's got an incredible O-gauge trains. They're unbelievable quality, right? But the grandkids don't necessarily appreciate it, can't maintain it, what have you. So he reached out to us. He said, "Will you please save my layout? Will you take the donation and promise to keep it running?" And I said, I went to go see it 2 weeks ago, and I was like, this cannot be lost. So we go to his place and dismantle it and put it back together at Pacific Southern. So my idea is this: one day I'm going to turn all 2 acres into multiple small, like it could be like sheds kind of thing around the whole property, saving incredible layouts from around America. So, and you'll say, this is from the club so and so in Omaha, Nebraska. This is from the club in Tulsa. This is from upstate. You know what I mean? And then that way, the public can visit at any time, and it just doesn't it doesn't get sent to the landfill. It's like so much imagination and passion and history poured into these layouts, and we have the means, so we might as well do something with it.
Wow, that's incredible. It's going to become
really
a destination in the hobby. Yeah. But I also think the fact that you're doing this and you have the name recognition and the talent to generate publicity enough that people come to you to save layouts, I hope that it inspires, one, enough new blood into the hobby that you may have a trickle-down effect with younger, enthusiastic people coming in because of you, that may naturally save layouts themselves, but also may inspire other people with the means or the space to step up and help out in their local areas too. So I think everything you're doing is good for the hobby, and it's really exciting as a participant to watch what you're up to.
Thanks, I appreciate it. Yeah, I'm excited. I'm having, and the club is great. What a great group of folks,
Okay, so how many?
And they're all geniuses. That's the thing. Like, I'm the dumbest member of the club.
Well, then you should be a regular member of the podcast. If he's the dumbest, because you fit in there perfect.
Yeah, you'll fit in just fine with us.
So
yeah, I mean the club is chemical engineers, nuclear engineers. One is a literal rocket scientist. The other gentleman ran technology for Bell Laboratories for decades. They're just brilliant people.
So it's actually in Rocky Hill, New Jersey.
Yeah, I mean it's right outside of Princeton.
Right,
so
right outside of Princeton,
yeah.
And which isn't that far from I-95. It's kind of like it's. Let's see that, because we have people from all over the world listening to us. So let's see if we can't give them a better. I'd say it's basically halfway between New York City and Philadelphia. Is that fair?
Exactly right.
Yeah, and so I mean, if anybody that's traveling about the globe, and there's lots of people that constantly, there's people that listen to podcasts from all over the world. If you're either in New York or Philadelphia, you are literally an hour away from this layout.
Yep.
So now, let's make sure that everybody, before we get too far ahead of ourselves, if you want to go to their website, it's Pacific Southern, just the way it sounds, pacificsouthern.org. Real simple. And you go there, and there's a fantastic website with all kinds of information on there that's going to tell you. It's a really, really good website. So you just recently built this website, did you?
Yeah, I used our same guy that does my website and the guys and I's website for our tour, and some modern e-commerce site that is both engaging, respects the history of the club, and has lots of video content, but also makes it easy to donate to the club since it's a nonprofit, become a member of the club. Before there was you just had to, there was no easy way to become a member of the club. It's like, guys, we got to bring this into, and then a merch store for sure. Like there are lots of people that love the idea of Pacific Southern and want to support it and love the hobby. And one of the best ways to support it is you see me rocking a shirt. I'm wearing the t-shirt today. I leave in a few minutes to go to set today to film Jokers, and I'm rocking the Pacific Southern shirt on TV, So there's lots of ways to support the hobby and support Pacific Southern, including buying a t-shirt or a hat. It's all nonprofit. Write it off on your taxes.
Oh, yeah, you can't go in a few minutes because we got a couple hours more of questions.
I hate to say that their apparel store is a lot better than our apparel store. Yeah, so you can tell they're professionals.
Our store guy is a little weak, so.
Yeah, you really should pay him more. You get what you pay for, right?
Well, okay, so if you go to donate, it's simply you can donate $20 and. Donate, and the money goes to a valuable part of the Rocky Hill community. So you donate to the fire and EMT workers, and
Yep.
then you can donate us. You can go virtual annual membership is $100. Active annual membership is 150. Junior annual membership 75, and on and on. So it just goes like that. And then there's all kinds of cool stuff to buy. And this is all a cool T-shirt. I think I got to get one of those T-shirts.
Yeah, I hired our graphic designer to design a new logo for the club.
Well, that's kind of
And so,
yeah. That would
yeah.
be kind. Sorry to cut you off there, but that'd be kind of handy because of the show and that you have a successful TV show. You kind of have all that stuff in place where you can just say, "Hey, can you do this for the club?"
Yeah, it's been really cool. But even like our contractor that does a lot of work on our house, whatever, hey, he's a member of the club now, and he is donating his services to help. Like I mentioned, we're accepting a donation of another layout next Monday. He's donating the day to the club, and he's going to come up with us and help professionally dismantle the layout and in a way that we could put it back together easily and save it. So
Somehow,
yeah, that's kind of cool.
somehow that's a show. Somehow that's an episode of Impractical. I can just see Saul out there doing something. So what? So it's been 2 months now that you've owned it.
hmm
What is the one thing that has surprised you the most since purchasing the Pacific Southern?
Oh gosh. The thing that surprised me the most, I was surprised with how many people are reaching out to us now. I knew we would I knew we'd get a lot of press because of the story and Wall Street Journal talking about it, and all the local press hit, and then TV shows came knocking, right? So we just recorded an episode of a real estate show at the house called Lovable Listings. They wanted to cover the story. Then I got contacted by Vice to cover the story and send a camera crew. Then in 2 weeks, we have Good Day New York coming to the house to cover the story of Pacific Southern. You know what I mean? And then the Philly TV shows are coming too. But it's just that was surprising to me. I did not expect like an HGTV show to reach out or any of these morning shows, and that's been fun and interesting. And I'm excited for that possibility. And then the community really, I didn't expect that either. So a few weeks ago, we were the guys and I go to a charity event every year in Kansas City called Big Slick. For children's cancer for Children's Mercy Hospital in Kansas City, one of the best children's cancer hospitals in the nation, if not the world. And they do a huge charity event and show there every year. The event is run by Paul Rudd and Jason Sudeikis and Eric Stone Street and Rob Riggle and Heidi Gardner. It's amazing. And they do a giant show at the T-Mobile Arena. There's 12,000 people there. The guys and I perform. Lots of other celebrities perform. They get like 60, 70 celebrities appearing there to go to the hospital, visit all the kids, what have you. Here's what surprised me. Every person there knew about Pacific Southern Railway. This is 3 weeks ago. I was there saying hi to, like, there are A-list celebrities, and Paul Rudd is there, right? He runs the event, comes over to me and goes, I can't believe about Pacific Southern. It's incredible. I have to come see the layout. I was like, you got to come. And then Paul Rudd's father and Rob Riggle's father, a massive train buff, and had heard it. Like, people coming up to me left and right at the event, at the show. There's fans there, what have you, coming up saying, "I can't believe it." The railway. And then I was at a Comic-Con. I appeared at a Comic-Con like 2 weeks ago. Same thing. Everyone come up to my table to take pictures, get autographs, what have you. Everyone knew about Pacific Southern Railway. That's so cool. That the story grew beyond just the local press here or what have you. The story has grown and grown and grown in a great way, and I love that, man. Like, I love that Pacific Southern Railway is now on. Every fan knows Pacific Southern Railway. Every fan, and beyond that, like, the average person has heard that Melissa and I bought the house and saved the club. And that's a great story.
Well, yeah, okay.
Wow.
Let's talk a little bit about the layout. And are you gonna try to get back and maybe start having a little hobby desk in your home and maybe build some models for the layout and stuff?
I mean, that is my whole. The other way, yeah, we're building. My trains are compatible with the layout we're absorbing from the older
Okay,
gentleman,
that's cool.
and so I'm going to use his layout as the base. I'm going to change a few things. I want to get a couple of loops in there that aren't in there currently, and my trains do fit with his.
So, what is your favorite part of the hobby? Like, are you a scenery guy, electronics? What's the one thing about the hobby that you enjoy the most?
The president of the club, Jeff Bernardus, has always said that when I first came to see the train layout before we bought the house, I was immediately on my back under the table, staring at the wiring and trying to figure out how they had wired everything and configured all the accessories and switches. And I say that's my interest is electric under the table, how everything comes together.
Okay, well, that's cool.
I love that.
I wouldn't.
It's different than scenery, different than a lot of different.
Yeah. Well, exactly. That's
I'm electric guy. I love that stuff.
Yeah, that is what people have said for years and years about the hobby. You don't like doing scenery, you can be an electrical guy. You don't like being an electrical guy, you can be a model building guy. I mean, that's one of the fascinating things about the hobby. It offers so many different avenues to explore. One thing that I was fascinated by is that the track is hand laid.
Yeah.
Like that is so unusual for a club.
It is. I can't even describe it, fellas. Like, it is astounding. It's 100% hand laid. They're building a new wing of the layout now, right? They call it James Island. No connection to me. It was named that before I came on board. It is. And I'm watching them do it stage by stage. I'm watching them, the first they have their rulers, pencils, they draw exactly where, measure out exactly where they want the track to go, what they want the track to do, and how to bend the metal accordingly, and where they want the switches to go. Then they hand lay the track, glue it down, the railroad ties. They hammer the track down. They have miniature nails, and there's millions of nails throughout the layout. And they hammer them down every half an inch, boom, 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 boom. And then glue holding down, build the ballast up. It is unbelievable to watch, and it's slow and methodical and measured. And I said to them, I was like, tracks come a long way. You can buy a great track now, why do you still do it this way? And the comments are, this way we get it exactly how we need it. I'm like, you can't argue with that. It's like, okay. It is incredible to watch.
And it's so unusual for a club this size to have hand-laid track. And the other thing I was going to say is I had a friend of mine, David Start, who's been a long-time listener to the podcast and close friend. He's a true AMLer, as we like to say. He actually went and visited the club just about a month or two before you purchased it. And,
no kidding.
Yeah, and he said it's for like a lot of club layouts are kind of like, they're great for clubs, great places for people to gather, but they're kind of a mishmash, where he said this is a really nice layout. Like, it's a high-end layout, which is a total bonus from your standpoint.
Yeah, and not only that, but like, I'm expanding it too. Like, I'm building a club room. So, it's in the basement. Hi, puppy. My puppy just came in. Hello, puppy. Sorry.
What's your puppy?
Sorry, fellas. Yeah.
All right. Let's stop right now. If your puppy is named either Princess or Muffin, we're stopping the podcast.
This is we have Penny and Pepper. Penny and Pepper.
All right.
This is Penny. Hi, Penny. Hello. I'm sorry, fellas. We have two. We just adopted Pepper about a year ago. Penny is Havanese Lhasa Apso, and Pepper is a Shih Tzu.
Nice.
And they're adorable, and sorry, but they're priorities in life. And when Pepper comes in and say hi,
I would do the same thing.
Absolutely. I'm a dog guy. Derek's a dog guy. It's a dog gathering. It's a gathering of dog people. So you're going to build out a club room, you said. Did he leave?
Did he get mad? I lost him.
Am I back? Did I get disconnected there?
Yeah.
You're back. We can hear you now.
We thought maybe we'd made you mad or something.
No, I have to I have to leave in a few minutes for work, and I started packing up my stuff, and I closed my laptop, forgetting that it was my laptop. It's communicating. Sorry.
All right. Well, okay.
He has to go.
All right. We have a lot more questions. So when can we get you back on the podcast and continue this?
I mean, we'll figure it out, fellas. I'd love to come back if you'll have me. That'd be great.
Okay. Let's try to do this before the end of the summer, because I think we have a lot of unanswered questions, and you need to get going. And just so you understand, James, you may be a big star, but we're bigger.
I don't doubt it. I am working today. I can't tell you where, obviously, the Hidden Camera Show, but I'm working at a well-known, how do I say this in a vague way? I'm working at a well-known pizzeria in New York City today. I'll be working as a waiter. and I have some crazy things I'm going to do. So it is so funny. Like I've lived a day in the life of every career and profession on the planet.
Yeah.
One day.
That's so cool.
Okay, we got to have you back to talk more about your show too, because I know people are
I will tell you, fellas. I did listen to several podcasts before we jumped on. I love what you guys do, and for as long as you've done it, I'd be honored to come back on. And for anybody out there listening, please become a member of Pacific Southern Railway. It's you can become a virtual member and get videos from me every 2 weeks, and get swag and free tickets to the open show, to the open house. It is tax deductible, so rather than the government taking your money, you can give it to a nonprofit that donates their proceeds to fire and EMT workers in New Jersey, and to get the tax write-off, so it costs you nothing. Go to pacificsouthern.org right now. We'd love to have you as a member or virtual member. And fellas, I appreciate you having me today, and lots of love.
Okay, we're going to just close up the show, and we're gonna, because you have to. Derek and I will do the emails and all the other stuff, but you need to do the official closing. So,
okay,
the key to it is at the appropriate moment you have to say "Happy Rails" to you.
Okay, got it.
Now, this is going to be hard for you because there's no singing, there's no dancing, there's no no interpretation of any kind. We just need an enthusiastic "Happy Rails" to you. Are you ready?
Okay, that's it. Yeah, I'm ready.
Okay. Well, James, Murr, Mr. Murray, as we close the barn doors on another episode of A Modeler's Life and the sun slowly sets over the back 40, I guess there's nothing else left to do except for you to say,
Happy Rails to you. There you go.
That might be the best one ever. Thank you so much, Murr. We appreciate it, man.
Yeah, well, we'll stay in contact and we'll get you back.
Sounds good, fellas. Take care. Thanks for having me.
See ya. I'm exhausted.
Wow. Holy shit. That was...
Well, you're still on the air, you know.
Oh, well, you can bleep that out, right?
Okay, yeah, maybe. Yeah, we can bleep
maybe. We'll see how good the editors are on this.
Exactly.
Yeah, that was in the script. It's on page 40.
Yeah, I'm going to turn my camera on for this part just because we don't usually end the show this way. But I'm going to make a face like, holy moly, I'm exhausted.
I know. Yeah. I think this is one of those, I think sometimes things happen by accident that can transform an organization, an industry. And I think that this is one of those accidental things that's going to have a big impact on the hobby, on the trajectory of the hobby over the next 5 years, 10 years, 20 years.
I actually, as he was talking, I was thinking the same thing. I was thinking this guy's going to make a difference.
I think so, yeah. His energy, his charisma, and I think his know-how when it comes to the media. If 1% of all the people who see it on TV, who see it on HGTV, whatever, become model railroaders for the first time, that's going to be a significant influx of new people, new blood into the hobby. And he thinks big too. He's not just going to rest on his laurels. He's talking about we can manufacture our own locomotives. We have remote members from around the world. He's not just stopping. He's going to keep pressing and pressing. And that's what's really impressive.
The thing that I got from it too was I felt like his personality was legit. I felt like, the guy you see on TV, this is kind of like the guy you're talking to here because it's a much more relaxed atmosphere with the podcast. And I felt like, man, he just loved to be there and loved to talk trains. And like you said, I thought, man, he's going to introduce the hobby to a lot of people. And that's all you need to do with this hobby is just introduce it to people. And once it's introduced to people, they become fascinated by it.
And I think there's something inside of us, you may be fascinated by trains, but you may not necessarily become a model railroader. But then if you have the right sequence of events, you can become a model railroader, right? And so I think that especially in areas that are transit rich, like metropolitan New York, Philadelphia, New Jersey, where railroads are a part of everyday life or commuting, whatever, there are probably a higher concentration of model railroaders there than anywhere else because it's proximity, right? You see it, you're interested in it. And so the fact that the club is located there, his energy is located there, is only going to bring in more and more people. But he also has the ability to bring in a national audience and international audience, right? So he may convert people who already have trains in their DNA into actually buying a train set and building a layout.
I think, and part of the magic of model railroading is, like I've often talked about before, the Canadian Pacific. The main line goes maybe within a mile of my house, and every night I can hear the 11 o'clock train going by. And the section of track that I will rail fan at, to the left of me, it goes kind of a straight tangent for about a mile or two, but to the right of me, it curves off into this forest of trees and just kind of magically disappears. And of course, I know where it goes, but it magically disappears into this bend in the forest of trees. And it's like, when the train's coming, I think I've watched trains there for 25, 30 years. And every time a train comes southbound, it's like it comes out of this forest of trees, and it's like it's magical every single time. And
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, and I think I think what's happening with the internet is it's introducing so many people to the hobby, and they find out, okay, I don't have to build a 20 by 20 layout. I can build a diorama, or I can buy a couple of locomotives and have them sitting on the shelf or whatever. And I think it just expands the hobby. I think the hobby will become much more mainstream as the years go by. I really do.
I think so, and I think he mentioned in the podcast that there's hobbies are more important because of it's something that's not your phone, right? I think that as technology takes over more and more of our lives, and two, I think as we have the ability with technology to automate more and more of the things we have to do every day, we're going to have more free time as a society, right? We'll have more time to relax and spend our energy. And so as that happens, there's naturally going to be a strong demand for something to do. And I think that hobbies that are only going to continue to progress. And, I think about when I first got into the hobby when I was a teenager, that was in the, early 2000s, and everybody said, oh, video games are going to kill the hobby. Well, here we are 20 years later, and the hobby is bigger than it was 15 years, 20 years ago.
Yeah,
it's like,
it
come
is
on, really?
bigger than it was. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Video games haven't done anything to the hobby. Yeah.
And I think the problem is the old stuffy organizations that try to keep reviving it don't understand that regardless of them, the hobby's going to continue to grow like crazy.
Right, because the majority of people who participate in the hobby probably never participate with somebody else in the hobby, right? The majority of people in the hobby are lone wolf modelers who maybe listen to a podcast, maybe get a magazine, but for the most part, their participation is limited to just them or their family.
I like how you said, yeah, I've listened to it.
Yeah. If he listened to it, he wouldn't have come on.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Don't try to. Okay, so this gives me a golden opportunity to clear up a little bit of business. This is
okay.
Tomorrow we're going to, on the Patreon channel, we're going to hear your episode talking about going to Alaska and refusing to ride on the Alaska Railroad. And which was crazy, because when we recorded that podcast, literally the next day, my buddy, the golf pro, he was on the Alaska Railroad. Literally. And he is not he's a closet train guy.
Mm-hmm.
Like years ago when I had the N scale project layout I'd built, he wanted it for his kids. And I said, how did you even know about that? Well, I was in the bookstore and I saw the magazine and blah, blah, blah. And he's always been a closet train guy. But so last week on the Patreon show, it was the Marcus Newbacher episode. And it kind of was bass-ackwards because it sounded like it was the one after your episode. But I thought, well, it'd be better to have your episode where we talked about the Alaska Railroad and going to Alaska and refusing to ride the railroad. I thought it would be better this tomorrow because, in fact, you are in Alaska.
There you go. Yes.
You are, in fact, in
Alaska. Yeah, not on the Alaska Railroad.
Yeah, not riding the train.
But also, if I recall, the episode with Marcus starts off with you guys making fun of me for how dumb I was. And so then you can listen to a whole episode knowing how dumb I am. And I think it'll just make it...
I don't think we use the word dumb.
I think you implied it.
Challenged.
Okay. Yes.
Definitely short.
Everybody should go to Alaska at some point. Everybody should ride the Alaska Railroad at some point, even though I haven't. But again,
you need to at least, you refuse to take a picture of yourself beside Bear Bryant's statue. You refuse to take a picture of yourself in front of the Hueytown sign. Now, can you at least take a picture of yourself somewhere near near the terminal, near an engine, a locomotive?
I can do that. Yes, I'll go to the terminal in Anchorage and take a picture. Yes,
buy me a sticker.
I can do that. An Alaska Railroad sticker.
Yeah.
Okay. Yes.
Get yourself actually act like you. You know what? You could take a bunch of pictures around the terminal, and don't say whether you actually went on the train or not, but you can give people that impression. And like, here I am at the Alaska Railroad terminal. Blah blah blah.
Right. Getting ready to board.
Yeah.
I didn't say if I was boarding the train or getting in my rental car.
Yeah.
But
just getting bored. And how many? So this year you're going to Alaska twice, which is odd. This is very unusual because it's a fairly arduous process to get there.
It is.
Is it a day long? Do you leave? You fly? I'm assuming there's a direct flight from Birmingham to Anchorage, Alaska.
Not quite. There's a direct flight from Atlanta to Anchorage, Alaska.
Is it
so
really?
I take that. Yeah. I think it's like 7.5 hours.
So do you drive to Atlanta?
Usually I would, but right now it's actually cheaper for us to catch a flight in Birmingham to Atlanta and then connect in Atlanta to Anchorage.
What kind of planes I don't know. What kind of planes do they have in Birmingham?
No, actually, there's a 737 Max that leaves for Atlanta once an hour for like 12 hours a day.
Really?
Because I mean, they're usually pretty full. We have a pretty busy airport.
Once every hour from Birmingham to Atlanta.
Yeah, it's
isn't it like a 3 hour? Isn't it like a 3 hour drive?
It is, yeah. But if you're flying for business, you don't really want to take 3 hours to drive it when you can just hop on the plane here. From the time I park until the time at my gate is typically 15 minutes at the Birmingham airport. At the Atlanta airport, it's a little bit more than that. So it's a convenience thing. Yeah.
So what time will you get on the plane in Birmingham?
I'll get in on the plane around noon Central Time.
Okay.
And then we'll fly to Atlanta and then fly to Anchorage and then get to Anchorage around 7:30 Alaska time. And then we'll drive to Homer. So I'll get in around midnight Alaska time, which is approximately 3 a.m. Birmingham time. So
when you get to Homer, Alaska at midnight, it'll still be daylight.
That's right. It feels great. Yeah. Yeah. There are no railroad tracks in Homer, unfortunately. So,
but
it's the end of the road.
Isn't there a Starbucks?
There is a Starbucks.
Yeah, exactly.
There is.
There is not a McDonald's, though, is there?
There is a McDonald's. Yes.
Wow.
Yeah. Yep.
The smallest McDonald's in the world.
It's actually the busiest place in town, but I'm not an outdoorsy person, so I can't go to a place that doesn't have like a Starbucks and a grocery store. It's
I've never actually, in all the time we've known each other, even since the first time we met, I never imagined you in camo gear with a gun slung over your shoulder, trekking through the woods looking for that prize buck.
No, that's not me. Although one time we were in Alaska and we had hiked so we got dropped off my father-in-law in his boat. And we hiked up to a glacier and then walked down the other sort of a loop, right? He picked us up. And as we were coming down these switchbacks and getting to the bottom where there's a dock, there were 3 Alaska State Game Rangers coming up with the camo and the gun and all of that. And they say, "Did you see the bear?" I said, "Bear?" Yeah. And of course I had like a can of bear spray, so I could, run away if I needed to. But they said, "Oh, we've had reports of a grizzly bear who's been like very hostile towards people on the trail." And we were like, "We didn't see anything. I have no idea what you're talking about." And they're like, okay. As we start to walk away, another group behind us came down and said, "We're glad you're okay." I said, "What do you mean?" They're like, "There was a grizzly bear like 10 or 15 feet behind you guys. We thought it was going to attack you." And I was like, "Are you kidding me?" And they said, "No, here's a picture. We took a picture because we were worried about you guys." And they showed me the picture of this grizzly bear just like walking behind us, like moping around, following us down the trail. And I had no idea it was back there.
That's spoken as a true outdoorsman.
Exactly. Which basically means I'd probably be the worst hunter in the world.
That's like me.
So
That's like me in Florida. There's one of the ladies I play poker with. They've lived in Florida forever, and they're very Floridian. And he's an outdoorsy guy, and he likes to tell stories. There's when I used to drive across 92 from Daytona to DeLand, he says, late at night, he says you'd hit like about 40 snakes on the road because they'd be out on the road trying to get where it'd be cool. And I'd be like, do I need to hear this? And then no. And I always said to them, well, you know what I do when I'm in Florida and I'm on the bike trail or wherever and I see a snake? You know what I do? I do the same thing every time. They go, what? I said, I start screaming like a girl and hopping up and down. That's what I do when I see a snake. Snake! All right.
I would do the same thing. They freak me out.
Yeah, I know. They're creepy.
They really are.
Let's close this puppy up. Can you give out our email address?
Again, if you'd like to reach out to us through the wonders of email, you can do that by sending your correspondence to modeler'slife@gmail.com. That's one modeler with one L, like Impractical Jokers, not two L's like Pacific Southern Railway Club.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
And that is
we had a real guest this week, so I had to make sure I got that right.
Yeah.
I thought he'd be on, so I wanted to impress Murr, but I kept it going. I guess I'll impress you. So
and it's pacificsouthern.org. If you want to go to their website, and it's a really, really good website. Like it's this story. I want to talk. We got to get him on again before the end of the summer or the fall or something, because there's so much more to talk about and ask. And
it would be great to get one of the club members on.
That's a good idea.
Yeah, did you see the 107-page PDF of the history of the Railway Club?
I saw it. I didn't read it.
Oh, of course, but I can't believe there's 107 pages of like good historical records, and it includes like the conversion to DCC in 2003. Like it's basically a book. You could read it as a book. So I hope everybody goes to the website and checks it out and buys a T-shirt and all that good stuff.
Yeah, I just downloaded it. It's unbelievable, really. This is going to be a fascinating story to follow along and see. Like I was going to talk to him about his, just to be polite, I was going to talk to him about his wife's candle business and he's going to move in there. And, I'm assuming now that both of us will get to be on Impractical Jokers at some point.
Oh, yeah.
This could be
absolutely.
I'm thinking this is our big break.
This is our big break, yes. I can't believe that we were talking to him and he had to go film an episode of television.
Yeah.
Like he had, like of all the reasons to wrap up the show.
Yeah,
that's a really good one. I've got to go be on TV.
Yeah, that might be the best one yet. Yeah.
Yeah.
And my highlight was when he talked about Rob Riggle's dad is huge into model railroading or into trains. And of course, Rob Riggle was a regular on on Jon Stewart's show. What's it called?
The Daily Show.
The Daily Show. Yeah, Rob Riggle was on that's how he became known, was from being on the Daily Show.
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
He's a reasonably large star now too. So
he's a funny guy. The fact that, Paul Rudd knows about model railroading is a pretty
Paul Rudd was on the show with Helen something or other.
And Paul Rudd's in everything. He's fantastic.
Didn't he have didn't he have a situation comedy that he was on? I thought he was. Hang on. I'm Googling Paul Rudd now. American actor. No, different guy. I'm thinking of a different guy. But he was in the 40-Year-Old Virgin, it says. Oh, yeah, Paul Rudd is a big star.
Oh, yeah.
Not as big as us. Not as big as us.
Of course not. No. But, I mean, I think if Paul Rudd had a model railroading podcast,
yes,
we would still beat him, Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
We're experts at what we do.
Yeah. He received a Screen Actors Guild nomination for outstanding performance by a cast. Probably, you know what? This is probably very rude to be talking about another guy in the entertainment business when we were just interviewing James Murr.
But Murr brought him up, right?
That's
true. So I think I'm excited to see what Murr does with this, because he's so energetic. It's going to keep on going and growing, and
Yeah.
I feel lucky we get to follow along for the next.
Oh yeah, we
5, 10
we gotta figure out how to get him on more fairly often, because I mean he had great energy. We'll send him a headset too, because I think the sound was pretty good, but I think we can make it even better.
We may have to bring the AML on location at some point. And,
yes, when I get my leg fixed, we will.
Yeah, there you go.
And there's a lot of things I want to do. Definitely what I want to do is ride the Azalea Sprinter, rent out the caboose and ride the Azalea Sprinter.
I think we should do that. I think we should also go check out the N&W 300 at some point too.
Oh, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
With our friend Brian. Okay, so we still got to fix the, if you didn't catch that email address, if you go to our website and click on the picture of the most AML Nation's most eligible bachelor with 2 inflated bears, you can. Some of you can just click on the picture and get the email address, and some of you can't. I can't. It doesn't work on mine for some reason or other. So we're going to.
It's funny. I forgot you had asked me to fix that, and then I was listening to last week's podcast where I told you I would fix it, and then I realized, oh shoot, I never fixed that. So
well. I think you fit in.
Speaking to me from the past,
I think you fit in perfectly in the administration staff, because there's a lot of things I'm going to do too that don't get done.
Okay, good.
It works out perfectly. We don't want to ever, other than the fact that we're very reliable at putting the podcast out every Monday and Tuesday. Everything after that will remain a mystery.
We don't want people to take us too seriously, because we don't take ourselves too seriously. Exactly. We're serious about having good guests on the podcast. We're serious about it coming out on time every week. But other than that,
it's pretty much,
we are who we are, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, last week's podcast was, the Monday one was, or no, the Tuesday one was Marcus before Derek. And then I put, this is the first podcast, it's the last podcast, because that's all I could come up with. But it was my favorite kind of show, which is like what tomorrow's is going to be. It was just a conversation, and I'm convinced that the Patreon folks who have this playing in the background just enjoy the conversations. Oh, which reminds me, I forgot, I got a great one with, that we haven't published yet, with David Lund's dad. I was trying to think, what else do I have? I have them all. I'm actually semi-organized. I'm pretty careful with being semi-organized with the podcast, but yeah, I just remembered. I was trying to think what other ones I had, and there I have.
With Howard, right? I missed the recording on that one, so I look forward to.
His dad was really interesting. He was a very pleasant gentleman, and his first name was Herman, and had quite a fascinating history of working for the Indiana Harbor Belt Railroad.
That's awesome. I really liked, speaking of listening, because I look forward to listening to that one because I didn't get to join it. But Chris Swan in our members Facebook group posted a really nice, message the other day about, where do you listen to AML? And it was fun to see, he listens to it at the workbench, Jonathan Myers when it's in, driving through Atlanta traffic. I thought that was just a really nice post, and I appreciated him for posting it because it helped me remember, that not everybody listens to it when they are cleaning or doing the dishes like I do, but it's everywhere and anywhere. So
yeah, that's the beauty of podcasts.
Exactly. But anyway, should we mention White Rose Hobbies?
Oh yeah, White Rose Hobbies. We didn't even talk to him about that. White Rose Hobbies is now the official sponsor of the AML network. I don't know why, but they've insisted they want to be part of our little family, and I'm slowly getting up to speed on trying to remember, because I want to talk about them at the start of the show, and I want to talk about them at the end of the show, because I think they deserve that kind of because they decided they want to be the official sponsor now of the AML network, and I think that's a really cool, because it's a great shop, and they're a couple of really cool guys, Ryan and Thomas, Tommy to his friends. And and their Bethlehem Car Works and all that stuff. And of course, you go to whiterosehobbies.com, boom, and tell them Lionel sent you, and see if that helps.
It probably won't. But they've got everything you need for hobbies. Paint, glue, trains, all of that. It's one of the best hobby shops in the lower 48.
All right. So we've talked about White Rose Hobbies. We've talked about our email address. If you didn't catch the email address, you go to our website, amodellerslife.com, and there you can find out You can go to our store, but it's pretty pathetic compared to most stores, but we're working on it. But you can at least get a T-shirt. And we got to fix the sweatshirt thing so you can get more than just dark blue. Weird. You fit in so well with the general. If I ran my real business like this, I wouldn't have a real business. All right.
It's a good thing we're both better at running businesses than we are running the podcast.
There you go.
Yes.
But we do the main thing. I have managed over the years through even when I had a heart attack, the podcast kept going. So I do pride myself on the fact that every Monday and Tuesday, pretty much every Monday and Tuesday, the podcast comes out. I don't think I've ever missed a Monday. Maybe Tuesdays have been a little slow. Occasionally, but every Monday and Tuesday the podcast comes out, which I think is the most important part.
Bingo.
So we covered the email address. We covered. Oh yeah. So if you like this podcast and you would like twice as much, if you just go to our Patreon channel, and for a few cents a day, you can have a podcast on Monday, a free one on Monday, and on Tuesday you're going to get more conversational, more just interesting stuff. I think they're very interesting. Last week and this week is just conversations. And because I wanted to talk to both you and Marcus about, I wanted to talk to Marcus about some of the cars they have at the North Carolina Transportation Museum. And I wanted to talk to you about your countless trips to Alaska. And I thought that was fascinating. So I figured, why just talk about it? Why not record it? So that's what tomorrow is listening to you tell us all about Alaska, which is actually a very interesting podcast, I think, anyways.
Well, I will look forward to hearing it, and
it's just me basically endlessly harassing you for not riding the train.
It was mostly a roast of me, so for those who don't like me, you'll enjoy this episode.
Yeah, you know what? This will be a little behind the scenes thing. The thing that I found interesting was at some point you started to say, well, I didn't really talk to people about trains, and it was like kind of something I didn't really get around to, which is exactly who I was. I didn't really talk to people about trains, and sometimes I'd ride them, sometimes I wouldn't. But as the years go by, you start to embrace the hobby more, and things take on a different perspective. Like, it would not surprise me if in 10 years you went back to Alaska to specifically ride the train.
Yeah, I think you're right about that. I think it's a journey everybody in the hobby can go on at some point, or a lot of people in the hobby go on, which is like, didn't want to talk about it, didn't really want to be out in the open about the interest, and then all of a sudden it just comes out, and then when it does, you end up emailing a podcast about how angry you are at them, and then you end up on the show, right? Yeah. It's just you never know what can happen. So it's fun, and it's better to be out in the open and talk about the hobby than to hide it away.
All right, that's it. Well, we've already done the official closing, so I guess there's really nothing else to do other than say goodnight, Johnny.
Good night, Johnny. Who's Johnny?
I don't know. Johnny Carson.
Oh, okay. I know who he is.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, we have got to work on your repertoire of movies. That is a really sad. I would say if I've got to pick one, you have got to watch the original Planet of the Apes.
I can do that. Okay. I've seen Airplane, and by the way, how cool was Murr's dad? That the three things that made him light up were Frank Sinatra, Airplane, and model railroading. Like, that is just, what a cool human being.
Yeah. Let's end the podcast by saying here's a tip of the hat to James Murray's father.
There we go.
Way to go. Thanks for bringing James into the hobby.
While in Busted Knuckle, guests of a Modeler's Life podcast stay at the Casa del Sol Motor Court and Inn, where late-night dancing at the Rumba Room is a magical event to be experienced.
It's another Lincoln Homer.
That was great.
What
I feel like that was the kind of conversational chit chat that some people love and some people hate. But
yes.
it was fun, and it's nice just to be able to chat like that, and it just feels like we're having a normal conversation like we would have otherwise.
Well, you know what? After today's podcast and after next week's podcast, the one with Marcus and the one with you, I have decided unwaveringly that that's what I enjoy the most is the conversations, and that's the way it's going to go in the future. And people are either going to like it or they're not. And the people that like it are going to really enjoy it. And I'm going to always enjoy doing it because that's what I like the best. And why not, why not record the conversations?